yet, or will be able, not even say able, that's not the word. I don't think people are aware of YouTube Live as of yet. And so I'm not anticipating that anybody is watching right now, but I'm excited about this video. This video will be listed within YouTube and on my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have my friend and author Dominique Okonkwo come on here. So we're just waiting for her to join us. And so I'm just going to sit here and let you watch it. I'm kidding. So I'm going to pull up her bio really quickly. And then, of course, she will. Here she is.
Hey!
Hey, boo! It worked.
What's up, girl? We meet
I'm
again.
so excited. This is the first time I'm doing this. I'm like, you know what? You're going to be my guinea pig. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. And so this is my first YouTube Live. I don't foresee that people are necessarily going to be joining live because it's not like an Instagram situation, but it is going to live on my channel. So people will be able to view it after this. So I thank you for, let me get this thing. I have this thing is blocking your face. This community guidelines things. I need to see that pretty face of yours. Okay, go away. There we go. Oh, okay. All right.
Don't kick me out.
No, darling, never. So everybody, you have met Dominique in my previous video. It was, I think, one of the most hilarious videos that I have done on my channel, where we had a whole funeral for your Kate Spade.
R.I.P. Kate Spade.
But we're going to do that again, guys. We're going to go shopping again. We're going to figure it out. Because now it's my turn. I got to go get a bag, Zoe.
Yes.
I need to get something. But I'm going to read your bio really quickly because I know that you are busy. And I got to go pick up baby girl. And I know that Maverick is about to start barking. He's just giving me grace right now. So I'm going to read your bio really quickly. And then we're going to go ahead and go into the reason why we're meeting today. He's already crying. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. All right. So author Dominique Okonkwo, based in Miami, Florida, is an award-winning literary force with 5 published books. Where's the other? Wait, 1, 2. I know a 4. We got to talk about the 5th one. 5 published books and more titles on the horizon. Yes, God. Renowned for her exceptional storytelling, she has sold thousands of books, inspiring readers of all ages. Since 2021, Dominique has been coaching and empowering aspiring authors in the art of successful self-publishing. Stay updated on her latest releases and literary insights by following her on her Instagram and Facebook at DOK Writes and Super Obi Books. Yay! And subscribe to her newsletter at DominiqueOkonkwo.com. Welcome!
Yes, thanks for having me.
And I should have had your book here. That's so unprofessional of me.
I got one.
You got one? Okay. So that's book number 1.
This one is number 2.
That's number 2. Okay. So the first one was The Adventures of Super Obi.
Nothing to Fear.
Okay.
Then I have Yes, I Can.
Okay.
I just released Marvelous Me.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 books in the Super Obi series.
Okay.
Then there's the Coloring and Activity book that goes along with the series. And then I have the Women's Devotional Remain in the Vine for the women.
Okay. So don't judge me, guys, because I've been wanting to take Riley to your book signings, and so that's why I haven't gotten 2 and 3, because I'm like, I'm gonna go get it when I get to. So I'm just gonna buy them anyway, and we'll figure out a way. Anyway, so welcome. I have some questions for you, but it's really gonna be how this really came up. Maverick, you see how I call him Riley and I call Riley. Calm down. This conversation really came out of when I was in London. I've had a book idea on my brain for a while. And when I was in London, it really was brought to a head. And so I'm sitting there texting. I don't even know what time it was in the US, but I was like, hey, girl.
I got it.
I have all these ideas. And so whenever I think about authoring a book, I think of Dominique. And I've authored a book before, and I have some journals, but not to the extent and to the professionalism that Dominique writes in his authored books. And so, if I really want to take it to another level, like she's the first person that I thought of. And so, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about other women that may be in my position, with 2024 coming in hard and fast, that they're like, you know what, this is the year that I want to author my book. So, the first question I have is, why is now the perfect time to write your first, second, third, fifth, or 30th book?
Why is now the perfect time to get started, period?
Yep.
The publishing industry has made a massive shift. Before, I actually wrote the first story about 10 years ago, and then I had no clue what to do. There were no resources online. Everything was kind of hush hush. And the only way to get published was really to be traditionally published unless you knew someone who could kind of give you the ins and outs. And there was some information in books. I remember purchasing a couple books on how do I publish, but it was just so hard to kind of break through and self-publish. And the model historically has been traditional publishing because there's a format for success. Well, fast forward 10 years later, there's tons of information online. It's so much easier now to upload files. There's more printing presses and companies that will help you bring your books closer to market. You have access now to illustrators and editors and things like that, where it doesn't have to be just word of mouth or a little black book of only a shared group of people know. And so I think that now it's attainable.
Mm.
It's actually a much less cumbersome process. You just need to have the know-how, and if you can write, you can publish. Before, if you can write, didn't necessarily mean you can publish. So now is the perfect time because there's just so many tools. There's tools to help you with writing. There's tools to help you editing, with publishing, finding people. I mean, it's unlimited on the type of resources that you have. So that's why now is the time.
And so when you say, and I'm writing, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm writing. Necessity is taking me. So when you say traditionally published, what does that mean?
What does that mean? So, when you're a traditional, I'm going through this process now because I did sell a manuscript to traditional publishers. So I have another book coming out next fall that I'm
Yay!
excited about. And so going through this process, already having published my own books has been interesting because it's a different
Although my
way of
mom is
doing
going out the
things.
door, so if you hear a ding dong,
That's
those
okay.
who are part of
That's
the
real
Dion
life.
Dean family know that every door in this house is chimed because I need to know where everybody is at all.
That's real life. Okay, me too. It's just I happen to be by myself right now. And so traditional publishing is, it's a longer process because there's many more hands in the pot and there's many more milestones. And just getting your foot in the door is a process in and of itself because you have to query, you have to write your letters, you have to do your research, you have to reach out to people who want to know your book. You have to, create a book proposal where there's research and comparables and things like that because you're selling your product to someone else, more or less.
Gotcha.
And then if you're agented, you're working with that person who's kind of helping you broker deals or looking over your contracts. When you self-publish, you cut through all of that. You are your CEO, owner, manager, marketing executive. I mean, and so, because you get to kind of cut through the line, so to speak, you don't have to deal with all of that. So there's pros and cons, and we'll get into that. But traditional publishing is a way, and historically, it's been primarily the only way. But now in 2023, 2024, and beyond, it's not the only way, and you can be successful self-publishing your own books.
Okay. And shameless plug, Dominique actually has a cohort program coming up that I'm going to be a part of. So. Save my spot. It's going to sell out, but save my spot. And
Yes.
it is because I think when people think about self-publishing versus traditional publishing, they don't necessarily think about all the steps that you have to take, because you do have to take all of those same steps, but you're taking it upon yourself, right? And
Right.
so, how long is it? I don't want to say easier, but is the length from start to finish the same whether you self-publish or traditionally publish?
No. So when you self-publish, you could publish your own book, in the matter of months, self-publishing.
Okay.
Traditionally published books normally take about 2 years minimum.
Wow.
Especially if it involves illustration. So if you're talking children's book with illustrations, which are picture board books, early readers, some early chapter books, it takes longer because now you're inviting an illustrator who needs time to not only draft the pages, but also to take your feedback and go back and do iterations on that. And so the timeline for traditional publishers is longer, not only because there's more people involved, but they have other authors, right? So they're not working on your stuff 24/7. They're supporting all the authors that they have within their portfolio. And so when you're self-publishing, it's you, your team, which oftentimes just tends to be yourself, and you're working on it as long and as hard or as fast as slow as you want because you own it. You own every aspect of it. And so, yeah, you got to involve people when it comes to editors and if you need an illustrator or a book formatter or somebody who can design a cover for you. But you work with that person one on one and you plan it, you know.
Yeah.
And so the format is way quicker when you self publish. And I tell people if you can't wait,
Yeah.
if you don't want to go through the rigmarole and all that, and and we're not even talking about um, getting a publisher to even pick up your book. It could be a year of just finding someone to purchase it from you, or
Yeah.
finding an agent who can help you, you know, present your manuscript to a traditional publisher. So that in and of itself takes a long time. I know people who found agents in a couple months, and I know people who have found agents in a year or so, and I know people who are still looking, and it's been years and they
Yeah.
haven't found agents or publishers. So it just depends on your timeline and how badly you want to get your stories out.
Is it easier? Do you think it's easier because you have written five, and so now you're in the process of writing another book, and now you have an agent? Do you find that having something to show is makes it easier for you to find an agent and be pub if you were to go that traditional route because you have numbers to back it up?
I think that's an excellent point. And when I first started to write, I sought to be traditionally published, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing what I thought was, I was doing the steps, but in hindsight, I could have done a few things differently. Long story short, I decided to self-publish books because I was tired of waiting, and I felt that I had something and I wanted to put it out. And so self-publishing well makes all the difference, because now when I go back around, I say, okay, I've written a different story outside the series. Let me see if I can, let's see who would be interested. They're looking at me as someone who's already been through this process. I've
Yeah.
actually had a publisher tell me they come across a lot of authors writers who's never authored a book, and they get the sense that they're not serious. They
Mm,
get the sense that it's something to try, or it's vanity. And these people in traditional publishing world, the editors and the um, agents, and a lot of them, this is their livelihood,
yeah.
right? So they don't want to waste time with people who are just kind of dipping their toe in. So
Yeah.
when you come to anyone in this industry and you've already self-published your books and you've self-published well,
Yeah.
meaning at a quality level, it
Yeah.
says a lot about who you are and your abilities as an author and as a writer. And so it's helpful to go through that pathway, because there's many different pathways to this. You don't have to pick a lane. You can go in between lanes if you want to. Just whatever you choose to do it well. That's the point.
And I think that is the key right there. You need to add that to your marketing as a branding coach, right? Self-publishing well, I
Yes.
think, is for me why immediately, like, I can be I'm not gonna tell y'all all my business, but I was in the Brixton market, and I went to a few bookstores, and I was so excited about the ideas that I was having because I felt like they finally had a place. And so
Mhm.
that's why I reached out to
Mhm.
Dominique, because I've self-published. Like this, I did this book as kind of just like I just wanted to get something on Amazon just to say, okay, I'm an author. Okay.
Right.
But this isn't done. I can be completely honest. This isn't done well as something that I would want sitting on a shelf in the Brixton Market, or in the Windrush Museum
Mhm.
bookstore, or Jamaican Heritage bookstore. And so that's why I reached out, because I really see what you're doing and that you are doing it well. And so that's why I'm really excited about the cohort, because to surround yourself with other women that want to do it well.
Yeah.
Because anybody can self-publish. Anybody can
Mhm.
get on Amazon. What is it? KD? What is it? Kindle? What?
KDP, Kindle
KDP?
Direct Publishing.
Yes. Like my book is
Yeah.
on Lulu. My book is on Amazon. My book is on Lulu. Like you can publish,
Mhm.
but you have to think about the end result and where you want to be. Do you want to be just on Amazon, or do you want your book at a Barnes and Noble, like you, at the Miami Book Fair? You
Mhm. Mhm.
travel with you. So I think that's the benefit of even taking it outside of just you, although you're my coach, but just
Let's
being
get it.
somebody who's going to help you do it well. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I just when you said that, I was just like, you need to add that to your marketing because
But
anybody,
it's true because
yeah,
the thing is, people, and that's the thing, you don't want to rush it. You want to
yeah,
have a sense of urgency because you have that fire, right? And so that
yeah,
propels your project. But I've met so many authors in this
mhm,
community because you run across when I go to fairs and I did a panel for Miami Dade College and there were some other authors there. They were all self published, and you kind of look through people's material and you can tell from the very first few pages
yeah,
the type of quality you're going to get in a book. And the problem with that, if the quality is not where you want it to be, that you're going to have disappointed buyers.
yeah,
The book is not going to move,
yeah,
and the worst thing you could do is spend all your time
yeah,
in a bunch of effort and money on
yeah,
something that is just going to collect dust.
yeah,
Like, what's the point of that?
yeah,
And so the you mentioned the core hurt part of me wanting to do this is not only because I've been meeting with people one on one, but every session I have with someone, that whether it's the first session or the fifth session or the whatever session, is just you know a lack of knowledge
yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
And it's writing and publishing is one of those things. Once you do it once
mhm,
and you get it underneath your belt, it's a rinse and repeat. Now,
yeah,
depending on the type of book, like there's a reason why I did the coloring and activity book. There's a reason why I did the women's journal. Because for me, I said, what else can I do? Like, what else can I learn? How else man, I published this children's book. I can publish a planner. I can
mhm,
publish a journal. I can publish a novel. I can, because it's like there's so many of the aspects of publishing that are consistent. And
yeah,
so once you jump genres or different book types, it's a matter of just understanding that niche, that market, and saying, okay, well, what other information. And so I love that part, being able to add to my repertoire and my portfolio and say, man, this is, now that I understand how this works, I can do this in so many different other ways. Same thing with traditional publishing. Like, it's like I understand now how to approach publishers. I understand now how to approach agents. And for me, it was trial and error. Like, we being honest, right? Give me a second. I'm going to show you something. So
uh,
my first, my
uh-oh,
first book, which I love, and
mhm,
it's still probably one of my favorites. His book has won several awards and has been professionally reviewed by Kirkus and things. And so I
wow,
want to show you something. When you talk about marketing and book formatting and covers and stuff like that, the major difference between this cover and this cover, if you walk into a bookstore, which book is going to grab your attention,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Because the thing is, I realized after the fact that this cover, as much as I love it, because it gives you an insight on what the story is about, the moral of the story is not to have fear, have nothing to fear,
yeah,
is busy. It's
mhm,
super busy.
mhm,
So when I stick this on it, and I've seen it, my books are sold online in Barnes and Nobles and in certain stores locally. You can
mhm,
go into the store and purchase it from there. But when
mhm,
I sit my book on the bookstore and I stand back a few feet back and I look at the book, it gets lost.
yeah,
It gets lost. It's intriguing, yes, and for little boys, they love it because it has that comic book feel. But it
yeah,
gets lost as opposed to this book. When I sit this book on a bookstore on a shelf and I step back, it pulls me in. I want to know more, and so it's things like that that I've learned trial and error over time just by going through my own process. And I think that one of the things we cover
hold
in
on, mommy's gonna open the door, hold on.
the
They're going outside, their daily walk. Okay, go ahead.
she's probably doing one of these.
She
Um,
is, because she's like,
um, and so, I want to make sure that you learn from my mistakes and you can, skip them all complete, all together.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is to give you the blueprint on publishing well, and
Mm,
being able to come in with your eyes wide open and
mm.
being able to make the right decisions so that at the end of your project, you're happy with what you produced and you can feel really, really, really good about it. And then you can do it again and again and again if you want, so that's the point.
The again and the again, the again part. Now that right there, So one of the questions that I have for you, because in talking to you, I realized that there really is a difference between somebody who's authored a book and a writer.
Hmm.
So can you break? I'll let you break it down, but to me, you're a writer,
Hmm.
not an author. Can you break that down?
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think the technical definition is author is anyone who's published, right? And a writer, people write all kinds of stuff: screenplays, monologues, short stories, poems, blah blah blah.
Mm,
But I think coming in, the question that I always ask people is, why do you want to do this?
mm,
Is it for vanity, meaning that you wrote a book about your daughter and you want to have it published because you want her to see how much you love her and you don't care how many copies it sells? Great. Does this book support your platform and who you are?
mm,
Because that tells me if it will help as far as, is your book marketable? Who do you hope to sell this book to? I think the statistic is every person, most authors only sell about 200 copies their book lifetime, something like
mm.
that. I know I butchered it, but if you look it up, it'll pop up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a lot of reasons for that is because people come in and they don't ask themselves that question as far as, well, do I want to keep writing books? Do I only want to just write the one book? Who am I going to market this book to? Who is anybody going to want it?
Mm,
And then what happens is they spend all this time and effort and money publishing this book, and nobody buys it. There's
mm,
only so many people you can go, like so many friends and family you can go around to and say, "Hey, buy my book,"
That's a
and then
word.
they buy the book, and then the book sits, and you're looking at it every day, and it's
Hmm.
it's on Amazon,
Hmm.
but you're not making any money. And I'm not saying that the whole sole purpose is to make money and be rich, because
But you're gonna make money.
but
In the
you're not doing
time.
it for free.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you
yeah,
want a return on your investment. So
yeah, yeah.
coming in, you have to ask yourself, uh, is my book marketable? Like, who's
Mm,
gonna want this?
yeah.
Where am I gonna? And so part of the things we talk about in the second part of the cohort is uh, distribution in bulk sales, and making sure you understand, how do I go into the school system?
Hmm.
How I approach bookstores? How do I approach, you know, whatever, a restaurant that could sell copies of my book on consignment? How does this go along with, if I teach on a particular topic, if I do panels and speaking events, making sure I have books that people can buy from me afterwards that support my mission, my goal, or whatever. So those things you want to think about up front, because then you set yourself up not to be disappointed. And I think that's the point, because a lot of people get in and it is one and done, because there's a disappointment afterwards. Like, I did all of this and it wasn't what it cracked up to be. And it's like, yeah, because you came in without asking yourself some serious questions in the beginning to make sure that you set the right expectation for yourself.
I'm gonna say it's because they didn't have a Dominique, because you don't know,
that,
like you
that
literally,
too.
and I say this to you over and over again, you don't know. Like when I wrote this book, this I wasn't even gonna make it a book. This was for me. I just wanted it to be an ebook. It's glam on a budget, live the fabulous life without going broke. So I wanted somebody to be able to download this on their iPad and just have it be like a fun read of like just how to be me, like how to
Hmm.
just be frugal, not cheap. There's a difference. And
Hmm.
so I wasn't even thinking about having it like an actual tangible book until somebody I was going to speak somewhere. And somebody said, do you have books? And I'm like, I mean, I have an ebook, but an ebook isn't for everybody. Oh, that's what it was. I
Right.
had a subscriber asked if I had it in this form because they don't have an iPad. So they're like an ebook. Like, no, they need this. And I'm like, well, that's not my intent, but if that's what you want, that's what it is. But I think the difference between this and what I'm walking into now, number one, there's a grander vision. Again, I'm not going to tell all my business. Join the cohort, you know all my business. Okay, that's
You'll
where we're
find
gonna
out
let
soon
it all
enough.
loose. Um, but like I didn't know, and so for me, it was just like, well, who knows? Well, Dominique over here writing, 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 and I know that she. No, first I asked about publishing,
Hmm.
and you were like, well, I'm doing more of the coaching. I was just like, well, sign me up. Um, so I really think it really was like that. It really was. I just don't think people know. Which leads me into the next question, because this is what really like blew my mind. How many people are in your camp? Like, how many people are have their hands on this book? Because when you were saying it needed to go here and then here and here, and I'm just like, yeah, cohort. I'm not doing this by myself.
It's crazy. I was sharing this with a friend. Aside from the things like if I could draw, I would be golden. Like if I had that talent, like
Yeah.
you couldn't stop me. I know author illustrators who spit out books like this because they're doing both, and so it cuts out like 50% of the work that's needed to be done because
Wow.
your story is two stories in one. You have what you've written, and then you have what is visual, and I'm talking picture books. What is visual on the pages? Because children, the age range of the picture books, generally 4 to 8. People like to move the needle a little bit. They like to tell their own stories based off of pictures. Even little kids that don't even know how to read. Someone sent me a video of their daughter reading my book, and she can't read, but she's looking at the pictures and she's telling the story based off of. So it's an important piece of your project. And so, just off the top of my head, okay, yes, you write the book, but once you get it to a point and you self edit like a mad woman or man, then you have to get the editor. But then there's multiple rounds of that, okay?
Mm,
Then you have to find the illustrator, okay? Now, if depending on how savvy you are with marketing and website building, luckily for me, that's something that I was able to do by myself. But people who don't want any have to deal with that at all. And I'm going to share in the cohort easy ways to pull up an author page that is good enough for now, because that's the other thing. People think, oh, I have to create a website. It needs to be the bestest baddest website in the land. No, it
I
does
get
not.
that. Creative, like you just started, like stop
Yes.
$5,000 on a website.
Right.
We're gonna give you like what you need for where you.
Practical, and
Yeah,
that's what I did. I started
yeah,
with one page,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I built onto it over time. You
yeah.
just need to be able to say who you are and where to get the book,
Yeah, and then
and
grow with you. Your website is something I say that all. Anyway, that's the tangent. Going on.
right. So you need
Sorry.
that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so we talked about writing, editing, marketing, and then we talked about now the illustration. So you got to get the illustrators, a big part.
yeah,
Once that's done, you have to figure out, okay, it's going to be a physical book. So how am I going to print it? There's multiple options for how to print it. And depending on the option you choose, how much that's going to cost.
yeah,
Then if you want to crowdfund,
yeah.
we'll talk a little bit about that, what tool you're going to use and what that looks like. And so a lot of this can be done by yourself, a lot of it.
No,
But
no.
some people may choose to, I mean, I don't, you shouldn't edit yourself. And unless you're a legit illustrator, you can't illustrate yourself. Those two
Yeah,
things you have to outsource.
yeah.
Um, and so, that's the kind of things we'll talk about, because the first session we're going to break down finances, because that's a part of it too.
Yeah,
Depending on your budget,
yeah,
you may have to do everything on your own, or you can outsource more of the camp, so to speak, to get your project live and running. And
okay.
so the whole point is it's very doable. You just have to understand all the steps and the landscapes, and then just plan. Create the plan and work the plan. That's it.
Yeah,
And you work it a little bit every day. Some days I have hours, some days I have 10 minutes,
yeah,
but consistently work that plan, and then it will yield. The whole point of starting cohort in the beginning of the year is by the end of the year, by the fall, my goal for everyone who's a part of this is to have a completed book.
yeah.
Okay. And so that is very doable. I have published books, a couple books within a year time
Yeah.
frame. So that's the goal.
Listen, I've already secured my spot, so no, I think again, I think you don't know what you don't know. And
Mhm.
so yeah, you just don't know until you don't know. And so you just don't know until you don't know. And so going to England, seeing all these books and seeing a place for the book that I have in mind, the books that I have in mind, it was just like, yes, like
Mhm.
that's what I want. So now having to double back and say, okay, well, how am I going to make it happen? And then speaking to you and talking to you about the edits and Illustrator and da da da. It's just like, no, I'm not doing this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not. And even if you do have the capability to do by yourself, right? Because I run D&D Creative, I have an agency, so I can do the website, I can get somebody to I can do the glam part, but you still need, for me, and that's why I run my accountability group, right? Because I still need to be around people who are doing the same thing. Because if I show up one week and I'm not writing, then I have other people to be like, well, I just wrote 10 pages. I'll be like, well, let me get on my stuff. So even if you do know what you're doing, I still think the cohort, and again, I'm bigging you up. That's bringing you here, because there are women I know that there are women that have stories on the inside of them that need to be told. I'm really big on representation. Again, you know this. I'm
Yeah.
really big on representation and having our stories out there as a black, British, American, Jamaican woman, like every woman. And it's not even about race or ethnicity, just whatever your story is needs to be told. So there are so many people that have a story that needs to be told. And so I just feel like you're the person to help them do it. I'm just bigging you up.
Well, I
I
appreciate that, and it's what you're saying is so true. Like when I started doing my research for my book, I remember the first book is a faith based book, and I
Mm,
remember going to Barnes Noble. Actually recorded a video of me doing this, and I was, going through the book section, book by book, looking at the covers. And to my surprise, I didn't know this, but as a parent now of children, I always do this because part of me is almost like, when you know better, you do better. You'd be surprised
mm,
the number of books that are written for diverse audiences, have diverse characters. Let me say that, right? Little
mhm.
black boy, little brown girl on the cover, that are written by not BIPOC, black or brown people.
Really?
Now, I say that to say, I can't say, for example, I can't say that a white author shouldn't be writing books about a black kid and a black experience. But what I can say, why have that author, non-black author, write this story when you have other authors who can write this story based off of their lived experience? There's something so magical about
Yeah.
somebody writing a story that is near and dear and close to their heart. And
Yeah.
so as I pick up these books and I look, they don't the children's book don't have the author's picture in the back.
Yeah.
And I look up the author, I'm kind of like, what? This is crazy. And so why? I think that, we as BIPOC authors are now entering the scene. So there's more of us,
Yeah.
but the other thing is, I think we realize we don't have to wait for the industry to pick us to write these stories when we can write them on
Mhm.
our own. It's
Yeah.
really not difficult. You just
Yeah.
have to understand the right way to do it. And so I think it's powerful that we are authors now and we're publishing books. And the point is,
Sorry.
to
Am I frozen?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Where'd you go?
Hold up. Somebody tried to call. Hold on.
Actually,
Ah!
you make a good point. Let me make sure my do not disturb.
Oh, somebody
I
tried to
put my
call.
do
As
not
long as you
disturb
can hear
on.
me. As long as you can hear me. Hold on. Let me see.
Can you come back?
I don't know. I see myself.
I don't see you.
Oh, you don't see me? Okay. Well, keep talking. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Hello, hello, hello. Anybody there?
Oh my gosh, I'm here as long as you can hear me. That's so crazy. And I don't want to stop the video, but no, no, no. Keep talking.
So yeah, I think our stories definitely need to be heard. I think they're unique. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people can resonate with our stories. And, you know, I tell people all the time, write the story that only you can write.
Mm,
Not everyone, like you gave me a little insight on what you want to do, and I can't write that story.
yeah.
That story is for you to write, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so I think once you tap into whatever that is, there's goal there. You just have to be able to just, go through the steps and publish it well.
Well, I know you can't see me, but I have a big smile on my face. So, so to end it, I guess that's the cue. Well, I have to go get my baby. Can you give us some information on the cohort? How many weeks is it? When does it start? And how they can sign up?
So the cohort, I'm doing it in two parts. Why am I doing it in two parts? Because part A takes you up to the point of you found an illustrator or you're looking for an illustrator and you know how to work with that illustrator. Because, yeah, you found an illustrator, but you're self-published. So not all illustrators are the same, and there's a way to make sure that your vision and your message comes across correctly so that you get the drafts that
Mm-hmm.
you're expecting. And
Mm-hmm.
so, of course, while you're going through that back and forth with the illustrator, we have to wait for that process. So that could probably take about 3 months, depending on who you
Wow.
choose.
Yeah.
And so part B essentially will pick up again once most of the cohort has either finished illustrations or near finishing illustrations to give themselves time to go through the launching part of it, which is, I created my launch team. Now I have my files. How do I load them on KDP or Ingram Spark? So part A is going to focus on the financing, the researching, the writing and editing, the legalities as far as copywriting. You're operating now under a business
Mm-hmm.
because you're the publisher, so to speak. We'll talk about things to avoid, common mistakes, and then we'll do checkpoints with one another just to see how we're doing. There'll always be time for Q&A. These sessions will be recorded, so again, I'm thinking of starting right now. I said February 5th, which is that first Monday in February. And once I get feedback from everyone enrolled, hopefully before the end of the year, because you've committed yourself for 2024, and everyone can do their new year and get their affairs in order, and we can start in February. Um, is It's going to be once a week with instruction for an hour, and then the Q&A for 8 weeks, because it's going to
Okay.
be initially 8 sessions, and it's going to recover all those topics. And we'll probably do a check-in, and it's one of these reasons why I want to keep this intimate. I'm starting only with 8 slots because I want to make sure I have the capacity to really coach you
Yeah.
throughout the week. And then also, as you're going through the illustration process, we'll have our forum on my site where we can ask each other questions. We can share, ideas. It's a safe space. And so if there's 200 people in the cohort, that
Yeah.
makes it very
That's
difficult for
200.
me because I am a mommy of three. And I do publish my own. I have my own business here, so and then so I can, depending on how many signups are happening for this first phase, I can stagger them. So of course, like I said, there'll be a break, and as there's a break for the first cohort, maybe start the second. Um, and so the point is to take you through from end to end, giving you that blueprint of how do you self-publish well with your
Yeah.
eyes wide open, and
Yeah.
making sure that you're not setting yourself up for any kind of disappointment once it's all said and done. Because I love writing. This has been a blessing for me. It's something that I wanted to do forever, but just never really, honestly, just gave myself permission to do. And
Yeah.
so I think that um, once you've decided that this is something you want to pursue, you just pursue it with all your heart, and it's gonna love you back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so give yourself permission to publish your book in 2024. Don't sit on it any longer,
Yeah.
because I meet people all the time. If I had $10 for every person who said, "Oh, I've written a story. I've always wanted to publish a book," or
I've always
I've
wanted to publish a book. Yep.
yeah, I wrote a story, never published it. Oh my gosh, why?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to not publish it anymore.
Yeah. And so my mom is now on the hotline to Jamaica. So if you hear her in the background, it is what it is. But no, I refer everybody to Dominique. So I'm in this program. I refer everybody to her because I have people like, oh, I want to write a book. No, when you're in the process and you need the branding, you need somebody to do your site, I got you. But as far as like the book, no, I'm sending you to Dominique. So how do they sign up?
So you can go to my website, askmehowtopublish.com.
Okay, I'm gonna put that
The
in the note.
course materials are there.
Okay.
Remember, it's gonna be capped at 8 for this first go round. I am running an early bird pricing. Normally, hour with me is $100.
Mhm.
And if it's an hour and a half, it's more. And so you're getting 8 sessions in this first uh, cohort for 650. So we're cutting the price down. The reason why I'm doing that is because if there's more of us, I want to, because there'll be other expenses. So I'm trying to do this in a way where people can get the coaching and it's not going to break the bank.
Yeah.
So that you can spend your coins making sure you get your manuscript edited
Yeah. Yeah.
properly.
And
Um,
I like the cohort better. The grad student in me, the professor in me believes that people learn better in groups with the accountability. So,
yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and you're making friends,
Yeah.
and there is a community that we're building over here. And my vision is that this is going to be a major community of
Mhm.
self-published authors, and it will be a safe place because there's a lot of stuff online, and I'm in some of these groups, and people share things that I don't always necessarily agree with. They're not always truthful. You
Yeah.
know, they send mocked up images, and it's like, why do we do that? But anyway, as a woman of God, I think that we just need to be honest with one another and
Yeah.
have a shared experience and witness it with one another and go through it together. And I think that this cohort is going to be great for all those who've enrolled, and I'm super excited.
Well, I am excited too.
2024.
I wish you could see my face. I have the laptop open and it's true. Like it's black. I don't know how to bring myself back and I don't open it. But you guys know that I don't bring many people on my channel. I think I've had like 4 in the whole time that I've had YouTube. Um, but I believe in Dominique. I believe in what she does. Again, going to England and seeing the plethora of books in the genre that I want to enter. There was only one person that I could talk to about it, and that's Dominique. So I hope that you take her up, even if you don't want to be a part of the cohort. Maybe you just want to like pick her brain. Well, we don't believe in free picking of the brains in this camp, but even if you just want a one-on-one, like reach out, talk to her. See if your project is viable. Like she's just a great resource and a great friend. And so I thank you so much for
I
spending time
appreciate
with
that.
me.
This was
And
awesome.
so we're gonna be shopping soon and we'll take you guys on
Yes.
a shopping adventure. But
And dinner.
and zip, yes. Let me know, sis. Let me know. All right. Well, let me get ready to pick up baby girl. But I will leave everything in the description box in the show notes. And I hope to see 7 of you because one of them spots is mine. But yeah, reach out. Thank you so much, Dominique. You can't be
Bye.
blowing you kisses, but I'm blowing you kisses. All right, all right, darling. Bye.
Bye. Take care.